Hey, welcome back to AfterBuzz TV for the culmination of Jack Ryan on Amazon episodes 7 and 8. Does he find love? What happens to the Suleiman family? Join us in a few and find out.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Yes. We are looking for a hero, honey, and we have found him in Jack Ryan on Amazon.
Right? Oh, have we?
Yes, we have. I am your host, Carla Renata, here at AfterBuzz TV, and we are about to culminate episodes 7 and 8 of Jack Ryan on Amazon. But before that, we'll do a little recap of 4, 5, and 6. But before we do that, I want to introduce you to my co-hosts who are...
What's up, party people? I am Erica Edwards.
Hey, guys, it's Virginia Rena Dunn.
I love when you go, hey, party people. That is like my favorite thing ever. I live for you to say that. She's like, thank you. Okay, so episodes 4 through 6, just to recap it real quick, I just want to say that I was holding my breath the whole time that the thing was happening. Like, everything that happened in those 3 episodes just had me holding my breath. Like, the gas station shootout, all of that stuff was just like...
And especially the scene when they were at the water, like the boat scene, that was just so intense. Like, you didn't know, was he going to take her? Was he going to get away? Who was going to get shot?
Yep.
I'm right there with you.
Yep, absolutely.
I think some of my favorites were the flashbacks to when they were growing up and to see how France deals with immigrants in their country and how they have some of the same issues that we have here with how the police treat people of color. So I actually found
that was a good moment.
Things.
Yeah.
And, and then that prison scene, like, was so touching because it's like, I definitely know how people feel disjointed in a different community, and to find your freedom in prison is almost frightening. So
yeah, and I'll get to that when we get to our favorite moments. So just to let you guys know, we've picked some favorite moments from the series during the first season that we love because it's already been picked up for season 2. Yay! So you may or may not see us back. It depends. But yeah, so let's just go ahead and get started into episode 7. So when we hit episode 7, we go to Langley, Virginia, and we find out that Haneen and the girls have been set up in a safe house. So they've been rescued. They've been set up in a safe house. And then there is a team in place to try to capture Suleiman. But something happens and that kind of goes awry. And but the thing that really kind of, it annoyed me, but I understand why he did, is when Suleiman lied to Samir about what happened to his mother after he'd already put a hit out on her but wanted the girls back. And I felt some kind of way about him wanting to get the girls back. I'm like, why do you want the girls back, but you don't want their mother? Like, really? And then you're going to lie to the son and have the son thinking that his mother's abandoned him for all practical purposes. And then he's having a little meltdown because he's thinking he's not going to see his mother again. And, I don't know. It just, that whole thing just, it was really hard for me to watch that little boy grieving over the pictures and crying and going into the room, and that was just hard. I don't know how y'all feel about that.
Well, I think the thing that they really did was they showed that he is still a boy. Like, like he was crying and then he was almost punishing himself for crying. But, then you could see he really, like, he was into soccer, but at the end of it, he grabbed the gun and he started shooting because he doesn't know any better. And now his father is his only figure in his life, a role model. So he thinks, and so he's like, okay, now I kind of have to do what Dad's going to do because my mom's gone.
That broke my heart when he picked up that gun and started shooting. That really broke my heart.
Well, 2 things. One, I guess to me, once she betrayed him and she decided to leave, I think at that point she realized herself that she had written her own death warrant. And so she was never going to come back alive. But at the end of the day, he's always going to love his children. And, so far, they have not betrayed him. They just want their mother. So I totally understood and expected him to kill her. And that was the whole thing. He wanted to, it's so interesting because even though he wants his children, or probably his son, I would say, to follow in his footsteps, he also, during both of these episodes, kind of rides the fence between protecting him from the terrorist activities and kind of bringing him in. So that's why I thought he wasn't going to say, I had her killed, even though there was probably some sort of honor in that, so to speak, since she had betrayed the family. But I think he wanted to develop in him a hatred for America, a hatred for the enemy that, would eventually foster into something else.
I saw on his face for a split second that maybe he was going to contemplate snatching his son up out of there when they were throwing the guns up in the air and shooting. Like, on his face, it looked like for a split second, because the camera kind of weaved through the crowd and found Samir.
Right.
And I thought for a split second they're going to snatch him up out of there and he's going to like do the right thing. And then I saw that look on his face go from that to, yeah, you're gonna join what I'm doing, and I'm good with that. And I was like, oh man, that broke my heart. The other thing that broke my heart was when the rescue team came in to get them, and the Doctors Without Borders, there was that one doctor when they put the other terrorists in the cell with them. There was that one doctor that was like, why are you trying to help him? Like, he's one of them. But he's still a human being and he's still hurt. That was a very strong statement for that show to make, because there is that ideology and that mentality when it comes to Muslims and terrorists, or terrorists that people think are Muslims, because not all Muslims are terrorists. So let me just fix that. I'm not saying that. Don't come for me, because that's what I misspoke and said. What I'm saying is that a lot of times people put the two in the same lane and they're not. So to see that happen on the show and to see it happen through the eyes of a doctor was a little heartbreaking for me.
Well, and I think that's so important that they did that, because, doctors take this oath to help people. That's the whole Doctors Without Borders. Like, they want to help everybody, anybody. It doesn't matter if you are a terrorist or not. Mm-hmm. They're there to help you. And I think that was for me, the heartbreaking thing was, his son, like, telling him your mother died because of these Americans or whoever, that puts that whole, like, now I need to seek vengeance on my mom, and it just continues this cycle of, us against them. And, maybe I'm just like, I really want to believe that, like, we can achieve peace, but it's like, why do we have to keep going down this? Because he's so, like, he was so sad when his brother died, and so I just wish we could all get along.
I wish we could too.
I do too, although the scene with the doctors I found interesting, because the head doctor, I appreciate and certainly empathize with that. You want to help everyone, but during the whole thing, I felt like he really showed a certain level of naivete that was kind of like ridiculous for you to be out here in these war-torn countries, because from the beginning he was like, oh yeah, since they showed that scene where he was like, well, we have ransom money, he's like, it's not about money. And to me, he's very good-hearted, but then he's assuming that these terrorists that have kidnapped him are also equally as good-hearted. So I said last week, as soon as they showed the medicine, I was like, it's Ebola in it, because he already said it's not about money, so he's going to do something to you that's worse than money. And the fact that the doctor never really got it, like, why are we here? What could possibly, to me, not that he should be fearful or hateful, but he wasn't, he was just over the top with some of the good-heartedness. Yeah. It was almost, to me, I felt like the writing on that was a little too on the nose.
Well,
but it definitely pulled at my heartstrings.
There was that moment where he said, as long as we have breath in our lungs, we are doctors first, when he was trying to give the terrorists the aspirin. And so
it was touching. I was like, okay, slow it down a little bit.
I tee-hee-heed and laughed out loud when they got rescued. And the guy said, what about him? He's like, yeah, he's one of them, and kept it moving. I was like, oh no, did he just do that?
Now, what was funny about that was then when the soldier shot him, he looked a little shocked. I was like, you know where you at, right? So this is what happens. Although I was a little bit surprised, because I was like, if he is with him and he's the only one left, y'all should have kept him for intel. But that's what Jack Ryan would do if he was there.
All right, but he wasn't.
He wasn't.
And then
I was like, yeah.
And then let's just talk about the fact of how they got up in there, how Suleiman and them. I mean, how the rescue team got up in there through the video game. That kind of freaked me out a little bit, because I'm like, I play video games on my cell phone all the time. I was like,
I knew as soon as those girls were talking to their brother that was going to happen. Like, why would you say that?
I didn't see that coming. I didn't see it coming.
I saw it coming, and personally, I love Jack Ryan, but I feel like if Tom Clancy was here with us today, he would say that this is a little bit of lazy writing, because I was like, oh, wait a minute, isn't this how the dad got in touch with his brother through the game? Are we still on the game? Like, and why are they getting internet connected games to the, like, and then and then nobody ever found out. I was like, did nobody ever check the game? Is this gonna be in season 2? Like, they should have known. Like, that whole thing, I was like, it's cute. Oh, one last thing.
Okay.
And then how you gonna pretend to be asleep but not hide the game?
Wait. Look. Oh my God, I had so much to say about that. Okay, so when he heard his father coming in the room, and it looked like I think this was a epic fail on the part of whoever was directing that episode, because what it looked like he had tucked that game between his legs. That's what it looked like. So I was like, when Suleiman came in to tuck him in and found the game next to his head, I'm like, I didn't see that little boy put that game by his head. It looked like he tucked it between his legs. And last time I checked, your legs are not over your head. So
I thought he was going to hide that game too. And I was like, you're pretending to be asleep, but you put the game right next to you. Like, what?
That was cray. I'm like, what is happening? My heart was in my throat though the whole time the rescue team was going through the compound, because and that whole segment of the show reminded me very much of, and it looked like they took it right out of the scene in real life where they went in to get Osama bin Laden here in and they
Except there were actually people in that video.
Right, and they showed the Situation Room with Hillary Clinton and Obama and all the people that are in the State Department watching what happened. It was almost identical to that. Some of the things in Jack Ryan, they took some stuff from headlines and kind of mushed it up with the story, and some things were very effective and some things were not like that. I'm like, no.
And it was interesting on that scene, right when the lead soldier, I forgot his name because I think he's also going to be in season 2, but when he was like, I thought at the time that he said it, this could be an ambush, because I was like, where they at? They about to really take all of these soldiers out. So I actually was pleasantly surprised that they had escaped, to be honest. I was like, oh, okay.
I was
not
pleasantly
something
surprised,
that I already knew from the beginning, so that was nice.
I was pleasantly surprised that they escaped too. But then what really cracked me up was when they were in the Situation Room and they were like, okay, bring back the 12 hostages, and then Jack Ryan was like, well, what about the son? And everybody turned around and looked at him and they were like, we're concerned about American citizens here. Why are you asking, can we save the son of the person we trying to take down? Are you on crack? You must be. And they all looked at him like, really? And they were like, okay, yeah, we can save the son. And then they got in there and he was gone already. So there was that.
Right, one last thing I want to say about that scene that was interesting and kind of like just funny as a side note. One thing I did like about the writing of that scene was that Greer had told him to wear a tie. So that was the big joke, ha ha ha.
Right.
Ryan gets there all dressed up and everybody else is in jeans.
Right.
But then at the end of the day, I felt like that tie went a long way for the president being like, all right, you got your little outfit together. We can bring home 13 hostages. So I felt like that kind of gave him a little bit more
legitimacy
and just strength to stand up and be like, I'm gonna fight for this. I'm dressed up in the meeting. I'm ready to go. So I agree with that. And then of course we know that Suleiman fled the country and went to Turkey with Samir to try to get back into the United States. We also found out that Kathy finds out who Jack Ryan really is, finds out he don't work for the State Department, finds out he's like the secret operative spy, and she's feeling some kind of way about the fact that he's lied to her. And so there's that. I don't know how y'all feel about this relationship, but I'm kind of like,
Well, we all know what's going to happen. Like, we all know that they eventually get married. That's how it's supposed to play out, So, I don't know. I think it's a fun way that they're playing with it because, if they just hook up right away, that's not fun.
I don't want them to hook up right away, but I don't know. I don't know, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of chemistry there for me. So when they do hook up, which comes soon, I'm just like, I'm like Morales in a chorus line. I feel nothing. I'm just like, what's going on?
From the beginning, I think I've said it's pretty dry. They're equally dry. I think for me, the one thing about this entire season is that you don't get the same heartstrings pulled for Jack Ryan. Like, he's a great action hero, but you do need either more of the backstory or more of this relationship, and the relationship is a little dry, to be honest. And personally, I was like, I'm sorry, you already said you didn't want anything special, so okay, he wasn't telling you the whole truth, but you just wanted to be friends with benefits. So now, why are you catching such a big attitude?
She was salty, wasn't
she? Was
she?
like so mad.
She was
and I
so
was like,
salty.
wait a minute. I thought you were the one telling him, I don't want this to, we just gonna, meet for drinks and hook up. Like, then why, chill out. Like, calm down with
But
that.
I totally see her side of it, though. Like, you think he's, just like this average guy, and then all of a sudden he's in your very important meeting, and now you're having to explain something to him. I mean, I just think I would have a lot of emotions at that moment. Regardless if I said, I don't really want anything specifically right now, I would still be like, okay, wait, what's going on? Like,
I would feel some kind of way about the fact that he lied to me. I would feel some kind of way about the fact that he lied to me. But if I have told you that I'm hooking up with other people and you ain't the only one, then I can't do a double standard and have my jaws all tight because now.
Well, I don't think she said she was hooking up with other people. I just think
she said she was not trying to do like what did she call it? I forget. There was a specific phrase that she used. But for the purposes of this conversation, she basically was like friends with benefits, like you said, Erica. She was like,
she said keep it casual.
Keep it casual means you hooking up with other people.
Right, because
Is that what that means?
Yes,
she already slept with him. She said she didn't want any strings or attachments. I mean, in all honesty, when she meets him, the guy clearly says, which I was kind of like, what's all of her clearance? Because why they just go announce these people with the CIA? I thought that was a little extra. But he already said that, he's with the CIA. Like, give him a break. And she's like, oh, you could have said, whatever, the little crazy line, oh, I can't tell you what I do. Really? That would have flown better than the lie.
Well, now
That's
she
like,
know.
Thank you. That's like saying you in the CIA.
Right.
Like,
well,
okay.
now she know, but then he's the one that figures out, because she's been on this Ebola tip for like the last couple of episodes trying to figure out where it started, where it came from, what's going on. And now he's figured out that the hostages are the ones that are carrying the Ebola.
Yes, as I did too. Me and Jack Brown, we right there. We right there. I figured that out as well. Yes.
So then that leads us into the very last episode of season 1, episode 8, called Inshallah. And I love how they consistently do these ceiling fan flashbacks with Jack Ryan to trigger his memories.
And one side note, I just want to say, I'm so glad, even though he was cool, that we did not see any of the Victor or any of that whole, the drone pilots that had nothing to do at all whatsoever with the storyline. So I'm glad that they did not reappear. I'm just going to say, they were cool people, but had a totally different show. So I appreciate that we did not waste our time on that in the last 2 episodes.
I think I finally agree with you that yes, we did not need to see any more of them.
Yeah, so there was that. But we did get to see him having these flashbacks triggering back to the moment where he got all these scars and things, right? Every time he lays down, every episode that they show him lying down with the ceiling fan, it always goes to some kind of flashback, some kind of trigger for him. And the little boy that he befriended, I think he said his name was Salim, was on that helicopter, and Salim is the one that pulls the what do you call it? The
grenade.
Pulls the thing out of the grenade to set off the crash. And he felt some kind of way about that because he felt like if he had not befriended this little boy, then maybe they wouldn't have crashed. Maybe there wouldn't have been a grenade on the helicopter. Maybe, right? So
And he was the lone survivor in that crash, so he feels very responsible for all
so
those
that
deaths.
guilt can eat you alive. Guilt can actually kill you, really. And then we see that the president, so that we've got the hostages back. The president has put the hostages under quarantine to figure out what the hell is going on. Then we also find out that Suleiman and Samir have made their way to the States, which means sooner or later they gonna find the mama and the girls if they get that far. We also find out that there is a storage container on the Maryland docks which contains contamination. Now, I couldn't figure out, at first I wasn't sure if this contamination was the Ebola or if it was radiation or what it was, because it wasn't marked really well. It was just this blue powder. So for a minute, I couldn't quite figure out what it was and why people were getting sick and why it was so toxic. I'm like, I'm going to need y'all to explain this to me real quick because I'm a little at a loss. And then we see that Suleiman has smuggled the virus into the hospital through these dead bodies that are in the hospital, right?
Yeah, that was a little much for me to see. I did.
Stop it.
She's like, okay, stop.
Again with the lazy writing. Okay. Does this remind you of episode 1 when the brother sneaked in with the dead bodies? I was like, we hiding things of dead bodies again.
And that was nasty. Like, I didn't need to see that.
It was nasty the first time. I mean, I was just like, okay, you guys can't think of anything else. So, I mean, they are creative in some instances, but in some instances, I'm like, oh, yeah, I saw this earlier in the season. But
you have to think that, okay, that was their way that they got in the first time and it worked. So maybe the terrorists are the ones that are planning this, so that is their go-to, and so that's why they planned it that way.
Well, I would think that since it happened the first time, you would think that, they're not stupid enough to fall for
you would
twice,
find a new method to do it.
Though
Exactly.
They were.
Exactly.
And you might shake it up a little bit, but maybe it'll get shook up in season 2.
That's what I was saying. Shake it up and find a new method, honey, because that was not working for me. I was like, really? So we gonna go with this gross woman again? Oh, okay, and here we go.
And I was a little surprised that Jack Ryan didn't think like, well, let me check the morgue, because that's what they do. But okay.
But alas,
he got there, and I did want to say though, I was really sad when the guy, before the bombing happened, where he said to those 2 women as he was walking out, like, I'm so sorry, because like he knew what was about to happen.
Yeah, that was the one lone terrorist that was left, the one who blew. He
was the really good-looking one.
Yeah, the one with the glasses that blew up the pizza parlor. And I felt for a split second. Again, he had that look on his face like he was gonna change his mind and not go through with it, and then he started picking up that pace in his step, and I'm like, oh man.
And what
really?
I found interesting about the pizza bombing was that they're in that scene when they show Amir just kind of sitting at the table and looking at the people around him. Like, I really, in my heart, felt like he had the one look when he looked at the girl, and also when he saw her later,
and then the
going to
couple,
the ambulance. But he looked at the couple, and I think he was looking like, I ain't never gonna have this. And he just looked like, oh my, this will
I
never
saw
be.
that. I
never
too.
saw that. He just had this look like, I'm never gonna be part of this couple, and and here I am about to blow up this cute single Muslim girl, and but yeah, he just had that look, and so that was like so well acted, because he didn't say anything.
No, I peeped
but
that
he just
too.
looked like, this is not my life, and I will never have that, and maybe I want to just be normal and have a family and eat pizza.
That actually was a great moment.
And that was such
moment.
a well-acted moment. I was like, wow, he said a lot with just his look.
And that's what I think they do so well about humanizing these terrorists, because you do feel for them, and just that moment of actually having to think like they might want something else, but then they still decide to like blow up the place or whatever, and so it's really like what leads them to that, and like he apologized. So it's like he clearly
had a conscience.
Like he has a conscience, and like they always say, like I'm so like even in last episode he was Solomon was apologizing for killing women and children. So they definitely seem like they care, but it's still like, but we have this other agenda. We have to like we have to do this.
They still do.
So it's really interesting.
And I just wish that for me, I've loved this season, but I do wish that they gave us a little bit more of that on the Greer and Ryan side. Like I know that this will. I know this obviously has to carry on many seasons, but I'm like, this is the first season. He should be in my heart, and I shouldn't be like more attached to the terrorist or whatever. So I'm just saying that for me, like that's
You're
how
like,
I feel.
look, that is my reality, and I'm going with it.
He's cute and he's sexy and stuff, but they're not giving me enough.
I agree.
Really pull at my heartstrings.
You got to be invested in that relationship, but I think that that's going to happen with season 2. But speaking of Ryan, that shootout on that subway tracks, that was straight up some motion picture feature film stuff. I was all in for that. I'm like, somebody about to get laid out by this train. A train gonna come. Somebody gonna get killed by the train. I don't know who it's gonna be, but somebody gonna get splat that by the train. And sure enough, it happened. I was like, yes. Somebody got splattered by the train. I was so excited. But the good thing that happened out of that is that he grabbed Suleiman's cell phone. Don't you remember he grabbed his cell phone?
Yes. And and
y'all looked at me like, what?
No. He shot Suleiman right before Suleiman clicked the cell phone. And that was actually really good. And what was so touching when he was like, I have your son, and that's how he got him to turn around. And that was like, dang, that was really good writing.
Yeah, that was really, really, really cool. So now we find out that after everything's done, Samir gets returned to his mom and his sisters, which I don't think that's going to be the last time we see them. There was something about that didn't feel final. You know, it was the way that Samir turned around and looked back at Jack Ryan. I just feel like that storyline is not done. So they get reunited. We find out that Jack is now going to be running the department, and he's going to have new analysts under him. And we find out that Greer gets transferred to Moscow. So, having said all of that, do we think, so now that we've said all of that, what do we think let's not do that first. What after we've seen all these episodes 1 through 8, what would you say is your favorite moment out of all of the episodes? I'll say mine first while y'all thinking. So my favorite moment was straight up the moment where everybody got locked in the church. When the church got, I'm gonna tell you why. Because I'm a huge fan of The Godfather, and that was some straight up Godfather stuff right there. That was straight up like a scene out of The Godfather when Michael Corleone was baptizing the kid, and they were going around town killing everybody. That was so reminiscent of that moment in Jack Ryan for me. I'm like, oh, they went Godfather on me. I'm with y'all. I'm with y'all on this one. I kind of like that moment.
Okay.
Just because I saw that it was cross-referenced, because I'm like, I love gangster stuff. Right, so when it was like cross-referenced with my favorite film, The Godfather, I'm like, okay, I'm in. I'm all in for that.
Okay, I like that.
There were so many really good scenes. I think overall, I really just liked seeing the humanization of everybody. And I think that whole scene where they showed him applying for the bank job, and just really, he was brighter than everybody there, and they still didn't get a job. And then you see him transitioning to a line cook, and he's still doing his best. Just that whole, and I feel like that's maybe why we were more connected with him than with Jack Ryan, because you saw how he was such a good person, and he took care of his brother and all of that. Like the scene outside where he, threw himself on the gun, that whole thing with the police officers. All of that was just, to me, I don't know, it just gave me chills when I was watching it.
Oh my God, and I forgot this moment too. The other moment that struck me really hard was the moment where Samir got out of the car going, "Dad, Dad, Dad," and the police went to take him down, and his father was standing right there. Suleiman was standing right there. He could have said something. He could have saved his son, and he chose to run and let his son take the fall for him.
Well, see, I viewed that scene totally different.
Wow.
I viewed that scene as Samir comes up, and I thought he saw his dad, but he knew the police or whatever. So I thought he was distracting the police to allow his son to get away. And I think he was crying, because his dad, was leaving. But I absolutely feel like he did it to save his dad.
I saw that differently. I did see that differently.
I saw it how you saw it.
Did you?
And I saw it how he was like, oh my gosh, they're about to kill my son, but I'm just going to keep walking because, it was
that's what
horrible.
It felt like.
I did not like that at all.
And that made me feel some kind of way about him. I'm like, ew, I'm not. First of all, you don't have no respect for women seemingly, and now you're going to leave your son to take the hit. I was not having him for that.
I didn't think that at all. I didn't think that
because
at
they
all.
could have shot him. Like there's
they
nothing
have,
saying
I don't think that I think that they were aware of who he was, and they weren't going to kill him.
I don't know.
I didn't think
one never knows, do one?
At all. I'll talk about that in my predictions. But yeah, no, I didn't think that I thought he was sad, but I absolutely thought that was his moment to protect his dad.
Okay.
That's what I thought about that.
Okay. Any other moments stick out for you guys during this season?
For me, one of my favorite moments was when they are rescuing the girls, and Greer tells Ryan, drop your guns, we're going to let the girls go. And then as soon as they drop the guns, they shoot the people and get the girls. Because that's when you really realize that Greer is not like the good guy that he's kind of acting like he is. He does have this grittier side. And sometimes if you follow his way, it'll still end up correctly. That was one of my favorite scenes. I think, to me, a lot of the scenes in France just really touched me as far as minorities, and very much, even though we want it to be different, it's very much the same thing here. So like the scene where the French female cop says to him, in America, everybody's an American, but in France, you're French or you're not. And I don't really necessarily think that's all the way accurate.
I remember that moment.
In America, it's not quite the melting pot that we make it out to be, but it's not.
It used to be. It's not now.
It's not as bad as, it's not quite, maybe, I don't know enough about French politics, but I found that line very interesting because then when they show the flashes about how immigrants are treated, well, yeah, that's a lot of people in America treated that way. And then again, like I said before, then I just found the whole transformation in prison like just so revealing, because there are times where if as a minority, if you're in a community where you're by yourself and you feel like you need a community around you, and that's what people find that in gangs here in America, but that's kind of what they found in France because they had no parents, they had nothing. And so not that it's right or whatever, but it was just so interesting to see that when you are yearning for that community, you can find it. You're gonna find it. And it's just like,
that's a good point, though. That is a good point.
What's it gonna take you to?
That is a good point. Any other moments? No, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
I think
The shower scene.
The shower scene with the stars. I was like, well, okay, that's a good point, because maybe when his arms were up, I was like, ooh, okay.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
Krasinski,
yes,
I see
yes.
you.
He got that.
I see you.
He got rid of that office body and got
I'm like, office is gone bye-bye. What's that
Exactly.
body right there? Is that a Quiet Place body? I don't know.
Exactly.
Let's find out, shall we? That made me laugh out loud. I was like, okay. I think that's a good note to segue on. So we have some news about one of our beloved cast members of Jack Ryan, Miss Dina Shahabi, who plays Haneen.
Woo! Okay, you guys. So Dina Shahabi has recently signed a development deal with Propagate, and she will be executive producing, co-writing, and I'm not sure, it didn't say whether she was going to actually star in it or not, a TV show called Habiti, and I apologize if I mispronounce it, but it's about 3 Saudi women that kind of her life, like here in Los Angeles, and how they bridge the gap between Saudi Arabia and their American lives. So she should be moving on to bigger and better things. So,
we love that.
We love that.
Big ups to Dina.
Great job, Dina. We loved you.
Sisters are doing it for themselves in Hollywood. I love it.
Exactly. Loved it.
Sisters are doing it for themselves. So moving on, Jack Ryan has already been picked up for season 2, which we're happy about that. Yay. So moving into season 2, what do we think our predictions might be for season 2?
And now, your AfterBuzz TV.
I love that.
I know, me too, especially with Halloween coming up. Yay. Okay, so he's obviously going to Moscow, like no brainer. I think, I just already think that. And then I think they're already shooting in London and stuff now, so I'm pretty sure he's Moscow bound. And I think Greer, whatever. So I think that's not a big thing. I don't know if it's going to be next season, but I absolutely think that, because I don't know how they're going to do the time lapse. So depending on the years or whatever, but I absolutely think Samir is going to come back for Ryan.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And I think that it's so interesting because to me, I feel like, although it was very touching when Jack told Kathy about the whole thing with the little boy, Samil or whatever,
Salim.
I was like, Salim,
Samir,
I was like,
Suleiman. It's a lot of S's going on.
I was just like, again, with the lazy writing, but whatever. I love you, writers. But I do think that because he has this soft spot, because I think that's like his Achilles heel, is that these children, so you have the soft spot for the little boy who did this, and I think Samir is going to end up doing the same thing. And without a doubt, just in other sort of, like you said, gangster movies, other movies, traditionally, that's the thing. If you take down somebody, you got to absolutely take down their kids because they grow up hating you, regardless of whatever they were told. And to me, that's what that look was all about. So and I think Jack knows it too. He's like, yeah, we'll see, because he knows that the son is going to come for him. And so I don't know if it'll be in season 2 or further down the line in future seasons, but I think they've already clearly planted that seed.
I think that I agree with you. I think they should probably hold that though till the end of season 2, because if they start out with that or put
Yeah, like,
it in
I
the
don't-
middle, there'll be no place to go.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be season 2. It might be 3 because I think he's going to have to be of age. So it'll probably be like 4 or 5 years down the line, and he's going to probably be like a super terrorist. But I do think he's going to come back. But
Yeah.
I don't think like it might just be like a C story or something next season. I don't think it's going to be the focus of next season. But I think he's definitely coming back.
I'm hoping that, okay, so with the relationship with Ryan and Kathy, this is the one, and I said this when we first started, I love the fact that they made Kathy a woman of some girth. I love the fact that she wasn't like a stick figure, beautiful, model-esque type of girlfriend, that she was curvy, she was kind of plain Jane, but like in a really pretty way, in a very inner beauty way. I love that they picked someone actress-wise to portray her in that way, but I'm gonna need them to up that chemistry. I need to see a little more fireworks happening between them and not just in the shower, because the shower scene was the only time that I got a sense that they were kind of feeling each other, and I need to not see it just there. Like I'm gonna need y'all to have like a dinner or a date or something, like without his phone ring. Like I just need to see that. I need to see that. I know Samir is coming back. I would love to see more relationship between Greer and Ryan, and I would love to see, as we discussed earlier in the season, about the shine being on the analyst, because they're all there and they just look like glorified extras. They give them one line here, one line there.
Right.
Like, can we see them? Can we look into their lives? Could one of them be in danger? Could Jack kind of save them? Like, what's going on?
And here's a footnote. We would rather see the analysts that work there than the drone people in Las Vegas. I'm just saying.
Virginia.
Yeah, I don't think Samir is going to come back until maybe the tag of the last episode for next season. And obviously they're going to go to Russia. Like you said, that's a no-brainer. So I hope they're doing something really fun over there, like in the snowy mountains again. Who knows? But I hope I see more of, like, I agree. They need a little more chemistry with Kathy. Although I really like their whole relationship. I don't know.
I feel like
I like it.
It was just dry. It was
So here's what I'm thinking and what I'm hoping. I loved this season, and as someone who didn't read Tom Clancy or watch the movies, I just came to it fresh. So I loved that. And yeah, like, even though I have complained about their relationship ad nauseum, I do hope that now that we have a season under our belt, because sometimes it takes writers and a cast to gel. So we know our core people are coming back. So hopefully, I have hope that there's going to be more fire.
Okay.
Because some of it, I don't even think it's the writing. I hate to be mean, but I think it's the acting, to be honest. Because it's like, even when they're together, there's no spark. They slept together right away, and you still were kind of like, well, they look good, but they don't look
But this
connected.
is the thing. They are acting what they have on the page. So I think it's a combination of both.
I'm here to tell you.
I'm just saying.
For my acting class, you got to bring something to it.
Look, girl.
I'm just saying.
Look, as an actress, I'm telling you,
Exactly.
it's half and half. So I would say it's half the writing and it's half the actors, because you can bring something that's not on the page, but if it's kind of out of pocket and doesn't meld and mesh with what's already on the page, then it just looks like you're doing too much.
I agree with you, but there was a scene when they were at dinner this last time, and he's like, well, I think you like me. And it's like, well, how would you know that? Because we don't know that. But it was cute because in that moment, she seemed to kind of smile, and there was a little bit of a spark right there.
But that was the only spark I saw.
That's what I'm saying. In that moment, and it wasn't, so some
saying.
of it is... It doesn't have to be out of pocket. I agree with you. Don't be over the top. But eventually, since supposedly, I have Googled, it does supposedly in the books lead to marriage and children and stuff. Get it going. You had 8 episodes. Like, we need it.
I don't know. I mean, they had the helicopter scene, that they had him texting. Like, there was definitely something there. I just don't think they had enough time to really explore the relationship. And I feel like for our season 2, they will. Okay. Because it's already kind of in development. And so hopefully we see a little bit more of Kathy, a little bit more of Jack, along with the season, like whatever they're going to be gallivanting around.
I felt like Amir had more feelings for that Muslim girl in the pizza shop. So I need Jack and Kathy to get together. That's all I'm saying. I need them to feel it.
All right.
We feel it for them.
All right. So we feel a lot, don't we? here at AfterBuzz TV.
We do. So, hey, AfterBuzzers, our network produces after shows for nearly all your favorite TV shows. From dramas, reality TV, sci-fi, and more, there is no network that works harder to serve television fans. But we need your help. We're asking that you please subscribe to one or more of our YouTube channels. By subscribing to our channel, YouTube will suggest content that's tailor-made for you, and you will help AfterBuzz continue to grow. And if you're worried about those pesky notifications, don't be, because they are completely optional. So hit that subscribe button now for this channel and check out our AfterBuzz YouTube channels as well. Let us know you did so in the comments and we'll thank you on air. For now, thanks for being the best fans and for helping us be the ESPN of TV talk.
Yes,
Yay,
ma'am.
thank you, guys.
So as we wrap up and encapsulate season 1, what is one adjective you would use to describe season 1, Erica?
Exciting and just so informative about society.
That sounds
I said
like
one
10
word,
words.
girl.
That's like exciting, informative
I said
about
one
society.
adjective.
Four,
Virginia.
whatever.
I would say exhilarating.
And I would say adventurous. And that is how we're going to end
All right.
season
Exciting is
1
what I'm going with.
Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan on Amazon here at AfterBuzz TV. I am your host, Carla Renata. Thank you so much for joining us. We will hopefully be back season 2, and you can clown us then too. And where can we find you, Erica?
Okay, party people, you can follow me on all of my social media at Erica, ERIKA, as in door, Edwards.
And you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Virginia Reina.
All right. So until next time with season 2 of Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan, this is your girl, Carla Renata, Erica, and Virginia signing off. Bye.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.